What's up, buff dudes and girls? You ready to get a workout in? Yeah. We've got a new idea. A lot of people do podcasts. We're gonna do a buffcast. So we're gonna get a workout in. Today it's gonna be shoulders, and we're gonna answer some questions. And since this is our first buffcast and there hasn't been any questions, we're gonna answer a common one. How much do we weigh? So we're answering our own question at this point. But in the spirit of YouTube, we're gonna make you wait until the 9-minute mark. So you gotta watch 9 minutes of us working out until we finally answer the damn question. Unless you just skip to that point, but please don't. Yeah, because we need the watch time. Helps us out. Yeah! Gotta get a warm up. Gotta get a warm up. It's always good. And we're gonna do some Cuban presses. So it's kind of just taking it here, kind of like an upright row, and then you're gonna be externally rotating and then pressing up. You can do the full upright row, or you can just do the external rotation with the press. That's kind of more of a standard Cuban press, but if you want to add a little extra motion in there, you add the upright row motion. Oh yeah. It's funny how you do this kind of multiple movement type exercises for either warm up or even the exercise itself, a workout. You can feel a pretty dang good burn in those muscles, even if you keep it light, just because there's so much happening. There's so much movement that the muscle and the range of motion and the muscle has to kind of go through, so it feels like it's working overtime. And usually for a warm-up, obviously you're not burning your muscles out, so you can keep it pretty light. Not only in the weight, but in the reps too, maybe only like 12 to 15 or so. Just to kind of get that blood flowing, and then you can do some light stretches and move on from there. And especially with shoulders, you want to make sure that you're properly warmed up. I think it's always, you get a little anxious, you want to get right into the heavy weights, do something like overhead press, load it up. But although shoulders are very mobile, they're also a smaller muscle group, so you don't want to overload them immediately. And that goes for any muscle group. That's why me and Brandon both like to warm up 10, maybe even 15 minutes. It's really helped us avoid injuries over the years, and if anything, we're just gonna continue to do it even more. On to the heavier motion, the big compound movements. First exercise of this workout is gonna be the pin presses. And pin presses are pretty much, as you can see, kind of set these pins up here so the barbell is in a stationary, stable position. And we're doing it in a pretty lower, it's gonna be a full range of motion. I mean, you can see it's pretty much right at the clavicle, right at the base of the neck here. You're taking it much like in a standard overhead press, but in this case, there's not gonna be any tension on the muscle in the starting position, so you're gonna have to really activate that muscle in eccentric contraction to push it up to start position. And, you know, lower it down at eccentric contraction until it touches the pin, relax the muscles, and then fire up again. So it kind of changes the dynamic a little bit in a standard overhead press. So here we go. And it's nice because if you give out, the spider bars right there to help you out. Thankfully, my muscles didn't give out, but it felt pretty damn good. That was the first set. We're gonna do 3 more. On to the next exercise, and we're gonna be doing a fairly rare one, and it's called the Scott press. Now, if you do follow our other channel, Buff Dudes Workouts, you've, I'm sure, seen this exercise in our dumbbell-only program, which we are doing a regular video series about. But we haven't really gone over it very much, especially on our main channel, so we're gonna be including it in this workout. And it's fairly simple. It's kind of almost like an isolation exercise because it's not really using 2 joints at once. Your elbow joint is used a little bit, but honestly, it's going to be more of an external rotation and an elevation here. So as you can tell, there is no real extension in the elbows. It's really just working on a little bit of that rotation in there. And you can see at this position, then you elevate your shoulders up, your traps, so you feel that nice contraction there, and then back down to the front position. So we're not doing a full rotation like you would in an Arnold press. Where the Arnold press starts here, you're rotating, then pressing. This one's concentrating on the external rotation and the elevation, just like so. So it's a shorter movement, but it's gonna help isolate the shoulders a little bit more. So as you're doing it, it's really getting those delts, getting the traps without using any extension in the elbow and working the triceps as a secondary muscle group. Now they will be slightly contracted during the motion just for stabilization, but it's really not working on very much. Now, like I was saying before, with the Arnold press, you're getting the full extension of the elbows, so you are working the triceps with the deltoids. With the Scott press, you're really taking a lot of the tricep out of the exercise and really focusing on the deltoid as well as the trapezius too, and the elevation when you elevate here. So the reason it's called Scott press is because Larry Scott popularized it back in the day, and I believe in like the mid to late 60s. And he wanted an exercise that was going to take away a lot of work in his triceps because his arms were so big and his delts weren't as developed. So he kind of had a shallower look in his upper body. So they worked on this. Joe Gold helped him develop this exercise to really focus on the delts, to isolate them a little bit more, still being able to put a lot of weight on them to develop the deltoids and take the triceps out. And they did a good job, because once you perform this exercise, you'll be able to tell that there's a lot of work in the shoulders, not only strengthening the rotator cuffs with external rotation, but also elevation of the traps and all three heads of the deltoid.
Okay, so we said we wouldn't wait until the end of the video to show you how much we weigh, and we won't. So it's time to ease the anticipation and weigh in. So this is actually the first day that I've been approved to be able to walk on my feet again. I had one last surgery. I had some screws taken out. You can actually see there's still quite a bit of swelling there. You can actually even see the A. Yeah, that was my doctor. He autographed my foot. He's my biggest fan. He got an A. Yeah, he did. Thank God. All right, here we go. Where are we at? You know, it's between 213 and 2. Oh, look, it moved a little. No, yeah. So it's between 213 and 214. I think I'll take 214. It's a higher number. Damn it, I didn't drink enough water. I'm supposed to get up to 220. So there we go, 213 and a half. Now it's time for Brandon.
Oh, God, I couldn't get a whole gallon. Fuck it. Oh shit, sorry. It's a little tight fit. Two buff dudes can't fit in the hallway. All right, here we go. Get this chest here. I've been bulking for a while. I was about 235, I think, last time I measured. It looks like it's about just under 235. Just under. I'm pretty happy with that. I think the bulk's going pretty good. You know, summer's coming up. I feel like the next kind of video should be about a summer cut. Kind of cut down to that lean muscle mass hopefully I gained with this bulk. But hell yeah, feeling buff. Let's finish this workout. Oh yeah. Pairing up two isolation movements, one lateral, one front. So working the lateral head, the deltoid, right into the anterior portion of the deltoid. Kind of alternating between both of those motions. Definitely get a good burn. These kind of exercises, you want to stay pretty light, just because it is putting a decent amount of load on that single joint there, the shoulder joint, which, as Hudson was saying earlier, it is the most mobile, but it's usually the most, unfortunately, the most injured too, because you can put a lot of strain on it, a lot of muscles connect right there in that joint, so just kind of take it easy. It's all about the motion, nice and fluid, and also feeling that nice, the contraction of the muscle, mind-muscle connection there. Usually, we're trying to, in isolation, you're isolating the muscle, so that's why you go a little lighter too. But with this, you're really putting a lot of exhaustion in there too, because it's have to kind of stay contracted in both motions. A lot of times you can't isolate one single group. Another group is going to be helping out, especially with the deltoid. There is three muscles in there: anterior, lateral, and posterior. So a lot of times you're gonna be contracting anyways, just because you're stabilizing the motion. So that's the good thing, is there's a lot of benefits in using compound movements and also isolations, because it is putting a lot of work in that muscle group at all times.
Oh, here we go. Shame. Shame.
Here, watch your buff dude nuts there.
Shame. Oh, that would have been shame. Shameful. That was the ringing sound when you don't hit the gym. A buff dude follows you around saying that. You know, little known factoid. We're actually going to be cast in Game of Thrones, me and Brandon, but they said they already had enough giants in the show.
You know, I think I lost a few pounds when I cut my hair and shaved my beard. And it's my disadvantage. See, that's what happens when you do that. That's why you never do that. You never cut your beard and hair.
Brandon actually weighed 275.
Yeah. I miss those days. Time to start all over again. All right, what are we doing? We're doing another isolation exercise, two actually. We're gonna pair two up, and we're gonna be pairing them up to isolate the posterior deltoid. One is gonna be the reverse flies, bent over reverse flies, right into the shoulder extensions. Now, shoulder extensions is kind of, I guess, a little bit of a lesser known motion that is going to be targeting the posterior deltoid. It's very simple. So this is flexion here when you're raising straight up. So the front raises, of course, we're gonna anterior portion, and the extension part is when you bring your arm backwards, almost kind of like a hyperextension, really bring it back as far as you can, and that immediately is gonna contract your posterior delt, because that muscle in itself is, that's gonna be one of the movements it helps with. So we're gonna be pairing both of them together. We're not gonna, you can either alternate them like we did with the lateral to front, or you can go right through on the bent over reverse flies right into the extension. So I'm gonna try alternating to see how this looks and feels here. So reverse fly here, right into extension. Doing a little hand rotation, as you can see here, palms facing back, and then right into facing each other. You don't necessarily have to do that, but for me, it just feels a little bit better. Oh yeah, I got the dumbbell shame right there. It means that my form is breaking a little bit. That's when you know.
Shame. 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 Just remember, buff dudes got two things: our form and our balls. We don't break them for nobody. That's it, we did it. So that was our first ever buffcast. It's like a podcast, but it's buff. Because we work out while we do it. Actually, it really had nothing in common with the podcast, but I don't know.
But that's the plan in the future.
That's the plan in the future,
That's why
though.
this video is for that.
That's true. So leave your questions below, and we'll kind of base workouts around that. So we'll kind of be working out, talking, discussing issues. Let us know. Let us know if that's a series you want us to do, because I feel that's kind of fun. Every time we'll have a killer workout and answer some of your questions. So we're gonna have our cameraman.
Sign out mirror.
Yeah.
This is the, oh shit. We'll focus. We'll get close up too. Oh, there it is.
Yeah. So now you know the buff dude's weights. Should we go up in weight? Should we go down weight? Like Brandon said, it's cutting time.
Summer's coming.
Till then.
Stay buff.
Yeah.